Welcome back to Cronkite Sports Report. Now, the Suns had a very busy draft night in 2018, selecting DeAndre Ayton at number 1, Elia Kobo at 31, and we can't forget about George King with the 59th overall pick.
Now, King is just one of 51 players playing under the NBA's new two-way contract. As Matt Stolboff reports, King was navigating the new opportunity along with former Oklahoma State guard Juwan Evans. Together, well, they spent a lot of time in the car as they made frequent trips between Phoenix and Prescott Valley. A note, this story was reported before Evans was waived by the Suns and then picked up by the Oklahoma City Thunder earlier this week.
Living on a two-way contract means that players like George King and Juwan Evans don't always know where they'll be sleeping the next day.
There's times where I would show up to games with the Suns, with my basketball shoes, and I had my blazer, because I wasn't sure if I was active or inactive.
I was in Oklahoma City, and not knowing that I was going to get called up the next day.
Prior to March 23rd, King and Evans were on two-way contracts with the Suns, shuttling between Phoenix and the team's G League affiliate in Prescott Valley, the Northern Arizona Suns. During the 2017 offseason, the NBA and the Players Association agreed to expand NBA rosters from 15 to 17 players, opening up slots for two-way players per team. These players split time between the G League and the NBA, allowed to spend up to 45 days in the association.
George, earlier this last week, I guess, played a game with us at 11 a.m. and then was sitting on the bench in Phoenix that night. So it's definitely a whirlwind process for them.
We had a number of times where players were going back and forth from Phoenix to Northern Arizona, and I just kind of chuckled to myself, like maybe I should see if they want to ride, and they can roll up with me.
If there is anyone who knows about the back and forth track between Prescott and Phoenix, it's John Bloom, who is a radio host for the Phoenix Suns and makes the hour-plus drive to Prescott Valley 24 times a season to do play-by-play of Northern Arizona Suns games.
Basahan all the way down the lane for the big-time right-hand flush.
The good thing is we're giving more guys an opportunity to go up and taste what the life is like in the NBA. It's not just let's figure out what the speed and the size of these guys is, but it's also what the lifestyle is, the travel, everything else.
One of the biggest questions about the two-way contract, the money. The annual salary for a two-way player in the G League is $77,250. Add that to the potential earnings that they can make in the NBA, and that number goes up to $385,000, a substantial range unlike any other in professional sports. Now, despite the uncertainties how much money they will make by the end of the season, both King and Evans are happy to play the game on a professional level.
I go out and I just play. Let the chips fall where they may.
You playing basketball at the end of the day, so I just want to come up here, just try to give it my all and do everything I can.
If you really truly love the game, you don't do it for that.
Once a player on a two-way deal spends a total of 45 active days on the NBA roster, the team must decide whether to sign him to a full NBA contract or keep him in the G League for the rest of the season. The Phoenix Suns were the first team ever to fully commit to a two-way player, signing guard Mike James to a one-year standard NBA contract in December of 2017. Since Mike James, there have been a total of 14 players whose deals have been converted. Players that may otherwise have gone overseas had the two-way never existed.
It's definitely a great opportunity for especially college players who are fringe guys, whatever, the language you want to use for it.
Rather than maybe the scouting systems of old where you've got all these guys all over the world, right? They're in Europe, they're, all over the place, Asia, they're in Australia, and they're also in our backyard watching college hoops, and they're trying to figure out who the next guy is. Well, we've got so many guys right now that are ready to play, that are playing here now in markets all over the place in a developed league.
Evans and King have bonded over their similar circumstances.
He and I are roommates and stuff on the road, and we always talk about some of the things that that we experienced.
I know when I first got on, he was just helping me without everything coming up here. So, it helps out just having another guy with you, knowing what you're going through.
For both players, the two-way contract has given them a chance to play in the NBA, something that may have been seen as a far reach not long ago. But now, thanks to the two-way contract, more players are able to fulfill that lifelong dream. Reporting from Prescott and Phoenix, Matt Stolboff, Cronkite Sports Report.
Matt Stolboff joins me now for more on this story. Now, we know Juwan was with the Suns when this was filmed, but Matt, how many games have George and Juwan actually played in the NBA?
So this season for Juwan, he played about 7 games, and that was mainly because DeAnthony Mellon was hurt for the Suns, and it was perfect for us. That's why we came up, and we were able to film him. King only played in 1 game, but it was a very special game for him. Obviously, it was his first career NBA game, but they played in San Antonio, and he grew up there, went to high school in San Antonio. He told me he went to a ton of Spurs games and just playing in that game. Only 1 rebound, but he said it's a game he'll never forget.
Hey, it's more rebounds than I'll ever have in an NBA game, so,
Me too.
It's a good feat. Now, let's talk about, is there any players, big names that have made the jump from the 2-way contract to full-time regular NBA contract?
Yeah, this year there's really been a lot of big guys. Alonzo Trier for the Knicks, he was a 2-way guy. Monte Morris on the Nuggets, he was a 2-way guy. And Quinn Cook on the Warriors. And Quinn Cook's a little special. He had a lot of 10-day contracts before this 2-way even existed and was bounced around the league. And thanks to the 2-way contract, he was able to join the Warriors, sign a full-term deal, and win an NBA championship. So it really just shows that this contract can really make big differences for some guys.
No kidding. Again, an NBA championship, nothing that I will ever do in my life, so a very big feat. The distance between Prescott and Phoenix, 2 hours, give or take, not that far. Is that similar for other G League and NBA teams?
Yeah, it used to be a little crazy a couple years ago when it was the D League. Now most teams are pretty close. The Suns are in Prescott, which is about 1.5 hours, 2 hours. The Nets are in Long Island, it's another hour or so. The Celtics are in Portland, Maine, about another 2.5 hours. The one big one is the Heat. So the Heat, they're in South Beach, obviously beautiful weather, always great in Miami. But their G League team's actually in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Which is obviously, it's not Miami, but the fan base is so great out there. They've expressed multiple times that they have such a good fan base that they never want to leave, and they're going to keep the G League there for as long as they can.
There you go. Sioux Falls to South Beach. When the players make that transition, I'm sure it's like spring break.
It's a big reward for them, for sure.
No kidding.
Yes.
Thanks, Matt.